Welcome back, everybody. This is RalorWolf here with some more Kerbal Space Program. I'm still on this same screen. We've got the single-man capsule, and we're going to start building our first rocket. I'll show you how all that's done. Alright, the first thing you're going to want to do with a rocket is think about how you're going to fly it. Here we're just going to be going up, coming back down, so we need to think about returning to Earth safely. Well, returning to Kerbin safely. Utility. Little parachute for it. Now that's all that's going to be returning to the planet, but we need a way to get it up into the air, so we need to build a second stage. Now if you know much about rockets, or pretty much anything about rockets, you'll know that there's different stages to a rocket. You have the first stages, the bottom stages will fire off, then those will separate from the ship, and so a smaller, lighter, more fuel-efficient ship will be left behind to do the rest of the mission. And then when you're finally done, you're coming back, you will finally detach the rest of that and just have your capsule and the parachute landing back, or your airplane, like your shuttle kind of thing, separating and landing back on the planet. Stages are shown over here on the right now. We just have what they call the zero stage. It's just our parachute on our capsule. To separate stages, we need decouplers, which are right here. This basically creates a new stage for the decouple, and when we hit the space bar, we'll cycle through these stages and this will separate. So below that is where we want our next stage to begin. We'll just do a simple fuel tank, and let's pick a rocket. Alright, there's our basic rocket right here. Alright, so if you look over on the right at our staging, when we hit the spacebar for the very first time to initiate our rocket, it'll fire this engine. When you hover over the stuff on the stage, it'll highlight the part. So our first stage will be our rocket firing. Then we'll decouple, which will get rid of this fuel tank and this rocket and just leave us to return to Earth. Kerbin, sorry. You can save your vehicle. You can give it a name up here. Right now, that's not that important. I'm not really going to save this rocket, so we'll go ahead and launch. Now I'm going to show this to you for the first time, but I'll probably skip this in the rest of my videos. It takes a little while to load in the rocket until it's ready to go. Even when you get here, it's not ready yet. The physics engine has to take over and prepare itself. So when you see everything settle down, like it just, I don't know if you noticed that, but there was a little yellow reticle that showed up here, and everything just kind of settled. That's when the physics engine is finally engaged and you can finally control your ship. Now, here on the left of our gimbal, this would be our gimbal, it's the artificial horizon ball. In the center, our nav ball, if you want to call it that. It shows your heading at the bottom, your speed at the top, and it has your velocity vector. Well, it will show your velocity vector, but this is your heading indicator. It shows where your ship is pointed in the center. On the left is our throttle, which we can throttle up with shift and throttle down with control, or just cut the engines completely with the X key. It'll drop throttle all the way down. Over on the right is our G-force indicator. Right now that's not really implemented in the game. It does show how many G's you're experiencing, but your little Kerbal astronaut will not be harmed in any way from G-forces. Over here on the left you see our staging set up, and it shows what stage you're on down here at the bottom, as well as buttons for your controls. You can have different control settings for staging, docking, and orbital map. That'll bring up the solar system map so you can see what you're doing. Also, if you hit the M key, it'll toggle between your orbital map and this view. Alright, so we'll go back to staging, so that's our main controls. In the top left hand corner you can see the mission time. Once we start the mission, that'll start scrolling up and tell us how long we've been in flight. Above that's the warp meter. You can warp through time. You can click on these to increase time or slow it down, or you can use the comma and period key. It's really like the angled bracket keys to slow down and speed up. We'll go ahead and speed up a little bit to make it daytime. Slow that back down. Alright, in the top you see your altitude up here. Now this is above sea level of whatever planet you're orbiting. So right now we're at 72 meters. That means we're 72 meters above sea level. The ocean's right over there. Below that is the atmosphere gauge. It shows how thick or thin the atmosphere is where you're at. So right now we're at this very right side. This is the thickest part of the atmosphere. While you're in this part of the atmosphere, it's really hard to control some ships. You're going to have a lot of drag, so you want to get out of this area as soon as you can. Once you're up into the upper parts of the atmosphere, your ships are normally a little easier to control depending on what kind of ship you have. Airplanes become less easier to control, a little harder to control, and airplanes, if you're just using wing surfaces for control, will be useless out of the atmosphere. You also have controls for your lights, gears, and brakes up here. This shows how fast you're climbing or descending. Right now we're at 0. Up here there's a resources panel. It shows all the resources on your ship, your fuel, your oxidizer for your fuel, the electric charge, how much electric charge you have. That's something new they implemented. You have to use solar panels and generators to keep that charge up if you're going to have a longer flight. But this is just going to be a quick little flight. We will throttle up to 100%, count down and hit the space bar, and we will be on our way. So 3, 2, 1, launch. We're in the air climbing. You can see our altitude's rising. Our speed is also rising, and we're veering off course. That's to be expected with a lot of these things. You can sometimes get it under control, like I just did. You move this around with the WSAD keys. A and D move you left and right respectively. We just ran out of fuel, so it'll be, there we go, it's a little easier to control now. S and W are your up and down. W will move this down, and S will move it up, so it's kind of like flying an airplane. Now, whatever orientation your camera's in, this nav ball stays in the same orientation as your ship. So W will always move you down on the nav ball. D will always move you up on the nav ball. A is always left. D is always right. That's important to know, because sometimes when you're landing on something, your camera may be in some weird angle, so you can't really use this to monitor what your controls are. But this is always true. The yellow indicator with the little 3 hashes around it is your velocity vector. It shows you what direction you're heading. So we're still heading straight up. Wait. Oh no, this is the one with the X in it. Never mind. The one down here, pointed straight at the ground, with the 3 crosses there, the little crosshairs, is the velocity vector. The other one is your retrograde indicator. It shows you which direction you're heading away from. So we're not heading straight up, we're heading straight down. So we better deploy our next stage. By hitting the spacebar again, we will separate the fuel tank and rocket, and we'll be left with our capsule falling to the planet. We're getting pretty close now. If we hit spacebar once more, it'll deploy our parachute. There it goes. Now if you saw it was kind of closed at first, it does originally. You can open it higher in the atmosphere and it'll open only slightly to help drag. It's a drag chute. It helps slow you down and orient you so you can be straight up, and then when you get down to about 500 meters, it fully opens and you move down really slow, and then you get to fall slowly to the planet for a safe landing. Of course, you always want safe landings. Now, this is also useful if you're landing on a planet with an atmosphere. You can have a lander with some parachutes on it that will help the descent. It'll help you get vertical as well as slowing you down so you don't die. And sometimes if you have a big lander, you'll still want to use some thrust to soften the blow. But we're still about 150 meters above the planet. We get to look around. The graphics in this game are awesome. I love this game. I've been addicted to it for a little while now. I finally got my computer upgraded so I can finally do some of these videos. I've been wanting to do some YouTube stuff for a while. Just haven't had the time. Or I haven't had the money to upgrade the computer to be able to play it. And touchdown. Beautiful. Another thing you can do is you have your astronauts down here on the right. We have Ed Kerman we're flying with. It just made the successful landing. If you click this IVA button, you get an interior view of your spaceship. You get a little window right there. You can see outside of this tiny little view. You also have instrument panels in here, and some of these are actually controllable. You can throttle up, throttle down, and you can see a lot of your instruments. They actually work. We'll hit C to move the camera back out, and then there's an EVA, which actually gets your astronaut out of the capsule, so we can let go, and we can actually walk our little Kerbal around. Well, thanks for joining me for this tutorial. Later on, or the next time I come back, I will be doing some Let's Play stuff. It'll just be me building ships. I don't know how much of the ship creation I'm going to show you,